When we look at code, whether it's Python, JavaScript, or even C++, it can feel like we're staring at a foreign language. For beginners, it's overwhelming. For professionals, it's sometimes just annoying to break down logic that seems unnecessarily complicated. This is where AI becomes your best study partner, teacher, and translator, all in one. In this video, I'll show you how to make AI explain complex code in plain English, so you can actually understand what's happening line by line without feeling lost. Let's start with the core idea. AI works brilliantly when you tell it exactly how you want the explanation. If you simply paste code and ask, "Explain this," you'll get a generic breakdown. But if you guide AI to act like a teacher, a mentor, or even a storyteller, suddenly that same block of confusing code turns into something that clicks. So, how do we do this? You give AI context and role. For example, instead of asking, "Explain this code," you might say, "Act like a senior software engineer teaching a beginner. Explain this code step by step in plain English without using jargon." By defining the role and audience, you set the tone for how AI will talk back to you. Here's an example. Suppose you have a piece of Python code that calculates Fibonacci numbers. You paste it in and say, "Explain this code to me as if I'm a 10-year-old who understands basic math but doesn't know programming." The result? Instead of getting words like recursive functions or call stack, you'll hear something like, "This code is teaching the computer how to make a list of numbers, where each number is made by adding the last two numbers together." Suddenly, the wall of code makes sense. Another great way is to layer your prompts. First, ask AI for a high-level summary. Something like, "Give me a one-sentence explanation of what this code does." Then follow up with, "Now explain it line by line." And finally ask, "Can you give me a real-world analogy for this code?" What you get is 3 levels of understanding: the big picture, the detailed breakdown, and a metaphor that locks the concept into your brain. Think about it like learning a new language. When you learn French, you don't just memorize words, you translate them into something meaningful. Code works the same way. By asking AI for analogies, you make the abstract tangible. For example, if your code is a sorting algorithm, AI might say, "Imagine you're arranging books on a shelf from smallest to tallest." And suddenly, boom, you get it. Now let's talk about debugging. Sometimes the hardest part isn't just reading code, but figuring out why it isn't working. Instead of asking AI, "Why is this wrong?" you can say, "Here's my code and here's the error I'm getting. Act as a friendly tutor. Walk me through why this is happening and how I can fix it in simple English." That one shift makes the explanation far less intimidating and more like having a patient teacher by your side. You can also tailor the tone. Want AI to sound like a professor, a stand-up comedian, even a storyteller? Try prompts like, "Explain this code as if you're telling a bedtime story to someone who doesn't know programming." Or, "Explain this code in the style of a motivational coach." You'd be surprised how much easier tough concepts feel when they're delivered in a voice that resonates with you. But here's the key insight. Don't settle for the first explanation AI gives you. Push it. Ask follow-up questions. Say, "That still sounds too technical. Can you make it simpler?" Or, "Can you give me a real-world example where this code might be useful?" Think of AI not as an answer machine, but as your personal coding tutor who's willing to explain things over and over in different ways until it finally makes sense. And this approach isn't just for beginners. Even advanced coders can benefit. If you're working on a massive project and someone else's function looks like a puzzle, AI can quickly give you the plain English version. You save hours of decoding and can jump right into actually solving the problem. Imagine the time this saves you in a professional setting. Instead of spending half an hour dissecting a colleague's code, you paste it into AI, give the right prompt, and within seconds you understand the logic, the purpose, and even potential improvements. It's like having a code whisperer on demand. So here's a simple structure you can follow whenever you want to decode code with AI. Step 1. Define the role. Tell AI to act as a teacher, mentor, or explainer. Step 2. Define the audience. Beginner, child, intermediate coder, whatever level you want the explanation in. Step 3. Layer your questions. Start with a summary, then line by line, then analogy. Step 4. Keep refining. Ask for simpler terms, real-world examples, or even alternative explanations until you feel confident. When you use prompts like these consistently, something magical happens. The code you once feared becomes approachable. You not only understand what's happening, you also start absorbing programming logic naturally, because every explanation is tailored for you. This is the real power of AI. It doesn't just give you answers. It adapts to your learning style. It makes programming less about memorizing and more about understanding. And once you understand, you can create with confidence. So the next time you're staring at a block of code and feeling stuck, remember, you're not alone. You have a patient, tireless, infinitely flexible tutor sitting right beside you. All you have to do is ask the right way. And that's how you make AI explain complex code in plain English.